Hello everyone, today I'm reviewing the Cozy Witch Tarot deck by Lovelace, illustrated by Janaína Medeiros. I hope I'm saying that right. Let's just get into it. So, something I want to say about this deck right off the bat is that it is a very welcoming tarot deck. Like, something about this artwork, it just feels very warm, alright? Like, I don't really know how to describe it. It feels like a very good deck for people who are just starting out with tarot. Both because of like the guidebook, but I will get into that in a second. And also just because like this artwork, it just has the energy that like the artist of this tarot deck is exploring it along with you, if that makes any sense. It's just very welcoming, very quaint, and I really like it. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into some cards that I think are really pretty. So this is the Magician. I like this person's outfit. I think that's the main reason I like this card. Also, this is kind of like a clever way to represent like this person working with the four suits, and like I feel like the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism of the Magician card is incorporated well and pretty subtly into this one. This is the Tower. I really like this representation of the Tower, just kind of like a lightning strike on a treehouse. Also, I like how it's raining outside and there are raindrops on the curtains. I think that's a nice detail. Then there's the Sun. This card is just so bright and brilliant, and I love that about it. Then this is the King of Cups. This is a very soothing card, which I feel like is very representative of King of Cups energy, and this person just looks very at peace with their emotions and with life in general, which is fitting. And then this is the Two of Pentacles. I think I just really like the color of this person's hair, and also the fact that their crop top says secretly a selkie. I vibe with this one. Also just like the color palette in general. It is interesting. It is interesting how they would pick like a watery theme for like the earth suit, but whatever. Maybe it does kind of make sense. Sorry, I'm just going on a tangent now about this one card. It does kind of make sense of like balancing like the human world with like the water world, as you can see this person balancing the sand dollar with like the coin, the pentacle. I don't know, interesting stuff. Oh, the Seven of Pentacles. I love the green on this card, like specifically what this person is wearing. I like the Seven of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles is also very nice. I like the style of the fairy houses, particularly the mushroom one. And this is the Seven of Swords. I just really like this representation of it, and I like how the message is, are your actions really as selfless as you think? I think that's interesting and like thought-provoking. And then this is the Three of Wands. I really just like the way the flowers are drawn. I like how the wands are shown in this lantern, and this gate just seems like very fantastical. Is that a word? It is now. I think it actually is a word. I don't think I made that up. This is the Four of Wands. This card just has like a nice like domestic vibe to it. I like how the wands are represented just as like candles on cupcakes, because this shows just a very like peaceful domestic scene, as I said, which I think works well for the Four of Wands. And this is the Seven of Wands. I think this card just has like a very interesting like energy to it. It's kind of like, you know, like in your face. I dig that. This is the Eight of Wands. I really like how this one just has like various witches just kind of like scattering. I think I don't know, it seems like mysterious and like magical, and I dig that. And then this is the Nine of Wands. I just really like the message, just like it would take a hell of a lot more to defeat you. And we see this person just like looking at the candle with like bandages on their arms, like other melted candles there. I think it's a powerful card. now to show you the back of the cards. So I like this design. It's pretty simplistic, which works well with the art in this tarot deck. It's pretty quaint, like I said, pretty simplistic. And it's also the same upright and upside down, so, you know, nice detail. Color palette isn't too loud or too in your face. It's interesting. I like it. Now, something else that's notable about this deck is that Amanda Lovelace changed some names of the cards. The Fool is the Cozy Witch. The Wheel of Fortune is the Good Luck Charm. The Hanged One is the Patient Witch. Death is Broom. And the Devil is Toxic Witches. So I always think it's interesting when the creators of tarot decks choose to change some of the names of the cards, especially when they only change some of them instead of just like going all the way with it, you know? I always think it's an interesting decision, and I don't necessarily feel like for or against like doing it in general. Specific things I want to point out about this deck. One, I really like how Death was changed to Broom, because Death in of itself is sorry, I started that sentence and then I realized it could sound like I was talking about the concept of death and not the tarot card. My bad. Death, the tarot card in of itself, is not like, it's not the scariest card that you can get. It's certainly not like the worst card you can get, and yet it obviously like gets kind of like a bad rap just because it's very, like, it seems very aggressive on the surface. And so I think it's nice that this deck took a more like placid approach to it. Placid, who cares? Took a more like gentle approach to it. Yeah, I think that was a nice decision. Now, I think it's a very interesting decision to like change the name of the Fool and like include that in your renaming, just because like the Fool is obviously kind of like the protagonist of the tarot. Like the major arcana are like the Fool's journey, and so changing the name of like one of the more iconic tarot cards is very interesting to me. But something I do like about this decision is that changing the name of the Fool to the Cozy Witch, like when you're working with the Cozy Witch tarot deck, it's like this card is still the protagonist of this tarot deck. I don't know, I think that's interesting. I think it's a nice touch. Okay, so I mentioned that this was like a very warm tarot deck and like pretty accessible to beginners, and I want to go more into why that is. So something that you've probably noticed because I've pointed it out is every card has like a little message on it, alright? And I said it before in my Mundane Magic Tarot video. Whenever tarot cards go about having like specific messages on them like this, I think it's a really good decision, because sometimes, like hypothetically, if you were working with this deck, you could like pull one of these cards and you could read that like ultra specific like diluted message, and it could like shock you with how accurate it was, and it could be like a really like spiritual experience or like a synchronicity of some sort. And I think that whenever decks do that, whenever they go for producing very like specific phrases or interpretations like that, I think it gives them the potential to like have people interact more, like people, it gives them like the potential to like have people interact more deeply with their tarot decks. Of course, there are some decks, like hypothetically, that could have these specific messages, and it could be kind of like a hit or miss, because people might not relate to the specific message. But this deck gets to have it both ways, because like not only do they have the messages on the card, but they also have like a very good and a very specific guidebook. Anyways, nice segue there. Let me talk about this guidebook. So I love this guidebook so much. As you can see, it's fairly extensive. It's pretty good. And the card includes like the message that was, the interpretations include like the message that was on the card, an upright interpretation and a reverse interpretation. So very, very good stuff there. And also there are some example spreads at the beginning of the guidebook. And here's something that I've literally never seen before. This deck has a deck interview spread where you get to like ask the deck these questions. I think that is so awesome. I've literally never seen that before, and I have seen a lot of tarot spreads. I own, how many decks do I own now? I own 38 tarot decks. I've seen a lot of sample spreads, okay? And this is certainly a unique one. And I think this is like one of the reasons why I think this deck is so good for beginners, or why I think this deck is so welcoming, because this guidebook just invites you to work with your deck in like such an intimate way, you know? I think this is a really, really unique move. I think it's a really cool concept. So overall, I really like this deck. Like I said, I think it's very warm and welcoming. I think that like the messages on the bottoms of the cards are good. The guidebook is also very good. Overall, this is a pretty fantastic deck, if I do say so myself, and I do. But yes, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.